get that ICE agents are people, allegedly, and they have a job to do. But at some point, while you're pepper spraying old ladies or shooting at a nurse, you ever stop and ask yourself, are we dicks?
Yes, they're hilarious, aren't they? He's a nurse shooting at a nurse. He's a gun-toting 6'4" left-wing radical extremist who was lucky enough to get a job as a nurse. And now he's no Laken Riley. You know, the Democrats didn't march for her, did they? They didn't loot anything for her. They didn't attack the police when Laken Riley was murdered by an illegal alien in Georgia. The Democrat Party are not on the side of the good guys. They're on the side of the bad guys. They're violent. They're mentally ill. They're lunatics. They're Democrats. Well, a very happy Monday to you. You have a big snowstorm where you were? We had some snow where we were. It wasn't everything they said it was going to be, but it snowed pretty good, and we had this ice falling from the sky for about half the day yesterday. It was interesting. My best girl and I, we went out for a hike, and the falling ice storm ended up at a Mexican restaurant. Had a nice afternoon. A few people had gathered there. It was good. We enjoyed ourselves. And it's a beautiful white blanket of snow across Washington. And as predicted, a couple of people actually said hello on the sidewalk, which is extremely unusual in Washington, D.C., because it's full of liberals, and they don't like people. You know, and that's one of the things about them is the left, they don't like people. So when you have a lunatic left-wing radical, he's a nurse, and they keep saying he's a nurse, and he's a late nurse. Now, I guess he shouldn't have brought his 6-hour 9mm pistol to go attack federal law enforcement physically in the street in order to prevent them from arresting illegal alien child rapists and murderers, who the Democrats of course support full-throatedly, wholeheartedly. They're on the side of the bad guys. If you're a bad guy, the Democrat Party is on your side. And they're looking for your vote, too. In fact, in Virginia, you see one of the first things the governor there, Scamberger, is doing is making sure that all convicted criminals can vote for Democrats because they love crime and they want more of it. Amazing stuff. Well, again, it's been an interesting weekend across so much of America because of the big snowstorm, and it was a big snowstorm in most places. D.C. not so much, but it was. You know, we had snow and not an insignificant amount of snow, and then the ice layer across the top and all of that. This morning the sun is out a little bit, and you might see snow melting. You might see water dripping off of rooftops and things like that because of the sun. It's the great ball of fire in the sky. It has big impact on the climate of the planet Earth, more even than Al Gore. Believe it or not, but the Democrats really dialed things up in Minneapolis over the weekend because they're mentally ill and they love crime. They love riots and mayhem. You see the storefronts being attacked and smashed out windows and looting going on and spray painting. They love the F word. They're like 5-year-olds that have discovered the F word. And spray painting F word ice in red spray paint on windows and then smashing out the storefronts and all that good stuff because they're criminals. They're all criminals. And it doesn't matter that the snowpocalypse going on. Isn't the snowpocalypse or snowmageddon or whatever? Every time it snows, they have to create some kind of apocalyptic death thing about it. But with the riots and the mayhem, they did get another one of their guys killed, but of course it's all the police's fault because when Democrats show up and they're radical left-wing extremists and they attack the police and they say, oh, the guy, he's got a concealed carry permit. Well, that's great. I have multiple concealed carry permits myself, but I don't generally pack away my 9mm on my belt and then go attack federal law enforcement on the street that are engaged in police operations, which is what the new hero of the Democrat Party did. His name is Alex Pretti, P-R-E-T-T-I, and they call him Pretty. And then there's, that woman that crashed into the federal law enforcement officer with her vehicle. Her name was Good. So they've got signs already. They've already got professionally made signs all over the place. They've got a protest site. They've got a vigil site. They've got a memorial site. But not to Laken Riley, the young nursing student that was murdered by an illegal alien. Nothing for her. They didn't have a memorial for her. Didn't have a march for. They didn't arm up and go out on the streets for. Oh yeah, speaking of which, you see the one of the many tattooed lunatics of the left in Minnesota. He says he's a member of Antifa. And he looks like one of the you'd expect to find him in Supermax, this career criminal, tattooed lunatic Antifa guy. And he's calling on all of his like-minded individuals to arm up with weapons and come out of the street to fight the Civil War, because the Democrat Party, the party of the first American Civil War, on account of they love slavery, now they really love illegal aliens. They're just really hell-bent on cheap labor one way or the other, aren't they? Pretty amazing stuff. But this Alex Pretty guy, he decided to show up, and along with other lunatics and some lunatic white liberal woman who was out there attacking the federal law enforcement in the streets of Minneapolis. And the media applauds this. Oh, it's their First Amendment right to show up with a 9mm pistol and an extra magazine, high-capacity magazines. And then DHS says, well, you might have been there to commit mass murder on federal law enforcement. And the news media says, well, Dana Bash and they got the others. All the other media people. Well, there's no proof that he was there to commit mass murder. They wanted to wait until there was mass murder, and then they'd say that maybe there was proof that he was there to commit mass murder. But they'd still blame the police because, they're Democrats, and they're very, very unwell, violently, criminally insane. I think every Democrat is mentally ill and likely criminally insane, violent at the drop of a kufi. That's one of those Muslim hats. You can use as a candy dish, too, on your coffee table or something like that. Turn your kufi upside down and fill it with candy. It's very nice. But Minneapolis shooting. Border Patrol fatally shoots Alex Pretty. Witness video conflicts DHS. This is, DHS says, well, the guy's there with a gun and multiple loaded magazines. Maybe he was there to commit mass murder. And all the Democrats angrily shout it down and say, oh, no, he didn't actually open fire before he got shot by the police. And it's an unfortunate situation. And it was brought on 100% by Alex Pretty, who was out there fighting federal law enforcement instead of staying home and, watching sports or cooking a nice soup or something like that. He was out there fighting federal law enforcement in the streets because he's a Democrat. And that's perfectly normal for Democrats in 2026. But Alex Pretty and then, Renee Good, so they got their Pretty Good. They have Pretty Good signs already made up, as though that makes sense to someone somewhere. But the mental incapacity of the average Democrat on parade once again. And remarkable things. Minneapolis unrest, that'd be riots. That's the news media refers to riots when they're Democrats as unrest. And Minneapolis unrest derails ICE arrest operation, which is the point of the left. They want to free all the illegal alien criminals. And then here we go. Agent loses finger. And here's I don't know if you've seen the picture of the federal agent, had one of his fingers bitten clean off. Not partially off, bitten clean off by a Democrat who apparently escaped with the severed finger, the bit-off finger, in his or her mouth because the finger was not recovered to be reattached. The Democrat bit it off and escaped the scene with a federal agent's severed finger in his or her mouth. And you can't rule out that it's a woman because that might be the most mentally ill among all of them. The white liberal woman in 2026, United States, America, pretty demented bunch, I got to tell you. It is. I feel sorry for young men out there, look at like the dating scene and all that, and you find a young woman that seems reasonably attractive, and then you discover that she's a psychotic lunatic who'd bite a finger off of federal law enforcement. But isn't that great? And in the meantime, the Democrat governor there, Tim Walz, who the Democrats wanted to be vice president of the United States. What a schmuck this guy is. Minnesota governor likens state's immigration crackdown to Nazi occupation because he's not fanning the flames or inciting more violence or anything like that. And, of course, they're the Nazis, and they're so close to being the Socialist Workers' Party of Germany in the 1930s and 40s that they're not very well versed in matters of history, I'll say. But he compares a Nazi, and he says it's like Anne Frank. It's Anne Frank House. And I've been to Anne Frank House. It's pretty amazing stuff. That's the Democrat. He said it's like Anne Frank, and the Nazis. And he said it's what did he say? It's a children's book. Is that what he called it? He called it a children's book, the governor. And, and it's like Nazi Germany when Anne Frank, illegal alien gang members are hiding from federal law enforcement. So he compares these guys with tattoos all over their faces and, gang affiliations in Venezuela to Anne Frank hiding from the Nazis. And you'll never guess who the Nazis are. We're all the Nazis. See that? And he's the good guy in the story because he's a Democrat and harvesting the organs of 1 million babies a year, particularly black babies. That's no problem. There it is. Yeah, so the immigration crackdown is just like Anne Frank hiding in Anne Frank House because in Amsterdam, because the Nazis are outside. And that's people enforcing the federal immigration laws as passed by Congress back when the Democrats weren't scaring Anne Frank into a room in the attic, but never mind that, behind a bookshelf. So he likens the immigration crackdown to Nazi occupation. Yes, sir. Tim Walz compares Trump ICE raids to Anne Frank. Anne Frank. There it is. I don't think he knows the story very well. These are not intelligent people. These pretty amazing people. Anti-ICE protesters swarm St. Paul Hotel. That's, Minneapolis, St. Paul. There's a hotel. They believe is housing federal agents. And you see this fight at the front doors and these, white liberals with Palestinian headdresses on violently attacking federal agents. They really should be. What did Joe Biden recommend? He recommended that federal agents shoot him in the leg. So maybe there should be a lot of leg shooting going on out there. Also, former Minnesota Viking NFL player Jack Brewer says that the Minnesota Democrats hate ICE because, he says, because we're deporting their voters. And the Democrat Party, they want nothing more than power, and they'll get it any way they can, by hook or by crook, by hammer and sickle, because they're fanatical. They're the left. They're not liberals at all. Just amazing. And the Democrats, because they're not on our side at all. One of the headlines here is from the left-wing extremists at Mediaite. No other option is the headline. That's in quotation marks. Prominent Democrats demand Kristi Noem's impeachment after shooting. That makes a lot of sense. The highest level of government should be punished because a Democrat lunatic leftist showed up with a pistol, and I actually read one story this morning, said that his family says, Pretty, his name is Pretty, that he had a concealed carry permit, but he never really carried. He never carried until he saw that he was going to go down and protest police and get in their faces, federal law enforcement, and get in their faces, and then he decided, hey, I got a concealed carry permit. Now's the time to grab my concealed carry pistol and a couple of magazines, head down there and get into conflicts with federal law enforcement because the situation isn't tense enough yet. Maybe I can make matters worse. And so he did, because he's a Democrat and his name is Alex Pretty. At least it was Alex Pretty. Now he's known as the late Alex Pretty because he decided to get a gun and go confront federal law enforcement in the streets. Honestly, just crazy stuff. Bill Clinton, of all people. What is it? Is another intern story? No, Bill Clinton issues chilling warning after Pretty shooting. If we give our freedoms away after 250 years, we might never get them back. Thanks, dim-witted one. And when you say our freedoms, you mean national sovereignty and the existence of law and order in the United States of America, and we hand it over to illegal alien gangs that take over apartment complexes and apparently whole cities and send radical extremist Democrats to Congress in Washington, D.C., all that good stuff. I'm thinking, yeah, we might never get them back. Thanks. And Barack Hussein Obama is on the loose. I wonder if he's sending all of his money to the Ayatollahs like he did when he was president of the United States, with plane loads of cash for the Ayatollahs, the world's #1 state sponsors of terrorism. They're funding radical Islamic terrorist groups like Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthis and international terrorism, and Barack Obama was funding them with plane loads of cash, our money. But he didn't send American money. He sent euros because he doesn't like America. He's not on our side. Barack Obama issues rare political statement, you'll never guess, condemning the Department of Homeland Security over Alex Preddy shooting. He's on the side of the guy that showed up with the pistol and extra magazine to attack ICE agents in the street. And all the Democrats are. Bill Clinton came out of the closet to whatever he was doing in there. And Barack Hussein Obama, he's out there condemning ICE. Oh, yeah, how dare you guys enforce the law, and when people attack you, you should let them kill you. And also the goal of the Democrats here, of course, is to drive the federal government out of Minnesota. So I guess they can redeclare the Confederate States of America, just like the Democrats did in the old days. Aren't they amazing? Yes, they are. So we've got that, and it snowed. And I've got an update on my non-voting delegate to Congress, Eleanor Holmes Norton. Big surprises going on there. Not really, just being facetious, and just amazing. And then you see this Somali woman who's a terrible victim of law enforcement from Somalia, talking about how great it is to be in America because you can eat bananas with rice. Bananas with rice. She's not going to be president one day. We're at 888-630-9625. So many crazy, and wait till you hear this Antifa guy calling for fundraising to raise arms to declare civil war against the United States, the Democrat Party. They're not on Team America. Let's go to the phones, Michael. Let's go to Jason calling from Kensington, Maryland. Hey, Jason, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
G'day, Chris. How you going, mate?
Very well. What do you say, Jason?
Oh, I must have been out here doing a sort of an all-nighter with the snowplow. It's another part of my, I guess, one of my career choices. But I tell you what, these snowstorms are a great equalizer. I find that all the lefties are out here just about ready to eat each other. And it's the only time that a lefty will actually talk to me on my street because I've got the snowplow. So,
is that right? That's fun.
Yeah. But, it just goes to show you a lot of them lack a lot of situational awareness and common sense. And I find that with the left-leaning people that they're very alike that way.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Yeah, I always say the only time people in Washington, D.C. Get friendly on the sidewalk, look at you, maybe smile, say hello, is during a snowstorm. And this time they all just stayed inside, I noticed. The Democrats, they're not really on Team America, are they? No, they're not. We have a lot of people responding by telephone, as you might expect today, and there's a lot to talk about because Christopher calling from Lake Ridge, Virginia. Christopher, you were on the Chris Plant Show.
Hello.
Christopher. Hey, there you are. Hey, buddy.
Hi. You didn't get very deep into it at the very first your first 20 minutes there, but I may disagree with you if we come into was it okay for this guy to do it or not. Now, I want to just
okay for this guy to do what or not?
Oh, sorry.
You're eating breakfast. Yeah, go ahead.
I just got my last bite down. The guy that pulled the gun and shot the guy in the back 5 or 6 times. Here's the thing. I always say, and I started this in 2017, you'll remember, in Charlottesville, Virginia, there was a young lady, probably 27 years old or something, and said to her friends, ooh, Antifa's going to kick some Nazi ass. Let's go down and watch.
Uh-huh.
And that's all she did. She didn't go down there to attack law enforcement or do anything. But that should be a lesson to everybody. It ended up badly for her.
I'll tell you about Heather Heyer. I remember her name off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's her.
Yeah.
And Antifa was indeed kicking Nazi ass, and one of those young Nazis panicked and got in his car and zoomed out to get away, and Heather Heyer bit the dust.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So so nothing is going to work out well for you to go to a Democrat riot, unless you're like a TV correspondent or something like that. You can make it worse by going to a Democrat riot and carrying a loaded pistol,
Right.
and then aggressively assaulting an officer. Does that
Right.
mean you automatically deserve to get shot in the back 5 times? I don't think so. In
No.
fact, the
No, I'd agree.
officers
You don't
that-
automatically. I would never say that. But did he incite the situation and create the situation himself?
Oh, he did. He did.
Yeah.
He did.
And it's a
he did-
terrible
he did do
outcome, of
that.
course.
Yeah, but I do believe when everything's said and done in the investigation, I believe that the idiot that shot him, if you notice the video, the officers that were on the guy, first of all, they're wearing body armor. You're familiar with body armor. I wore body armor in Afghanistan every day for 3.5 years when I was a diplomat stationed out on a fire base of the military.
Uh-huh.
It makes you heavier. So if you got 5 guys with body armor on this guy, even though he's a fairly good-sized guy, they pretty much had him by every appendage. And when that guy started firing shots, they scattered like a covey of quail. When I first saw the video, I thought, geez, he must have tried to shoot them. No, he didn't. But anyway.
Well, I'm
so
not sure. I'm not
this
sure that's
US
certain. There was a big scrum, but I got to say, it kind of looks like the guy came out of the scrum with Alex's pistol. All the media are calling him Alex now, like he's a family friend, and it did look like that. But you know that there's chaos going on in the middle of the scrum, and there's a lot that you're in the middle of it. You don't know, and it's true. You might have body armor over your central torso, but you still get shot in all kinds of places, right?
Yeah, no, I understand that. And nobody is totally safe when you're wrestling with a Democrat nut who's got a loaded pistol in his
That's
pocket.
right. That's right.
But,
Yeah.
so I'm just saying that I believe if what I saw and all the stuff, and I spent hours just looking at this stuff when I wasn't out trying to break the ice,
Uh-huh.
that I believe that when it comes out, that guy will be charged with murder, because I don't think that the circumstances. If it was just him and that guy tussling, that's a whole different idea. But when you have 5 big guys with body armor stretching somebody out like a kid with a spider, I don't think he was that much of a threat at that point. But again, the responsibility, like you pointed out at the beginning, goes back to that guy. He went down there not to just observe or take a nice little video with his cell phone. He went down there to do what Democrats in Minnesota have learned they're supposed to do now from their governor and their mayor, and that is assault policemen. And
Yeah, that's right.
that never works out well for anybody.
That's
ever.
right. That's right.
So,
Well,
anyway.
and you know, Christopher, your time in Afghanistan, you know perfectly well that we're watching videos in the comfort of our own homes from multiple angles over the course of time. You said you spent hours. When it's happening to the police, the ICE agent, the Border Patrol agents, they have a millisecond. They're not reviewing the situation from a distance in the safety and comfort of their own home. They're in the middle of a fight, you know, and they don't necessarily see the guy pulling out of the scrum with a pistol in his hand. They hear somebody yelling "gun, gun, gun," right?
Yep, that's what law enforcement officers are supposed to do when if there's any kind of antagonism going on,
Yep.
and they discover that the criminal has a gun, they're supposed to yell "gun."
That's right. And they did several times. Somebody or several people yelled "gun" several times. And the guy, look, you want to go down and protest against ICE, fine. You got a concealed carry? Okay, I've got concealed carry, multiple concealed carry. Great. That doesn't mean I strap my gun on and go to anti-police protests and get in their faces. And then when I find myself, being the subject of the interest of federal law enforcement, that I then start fighting them and find myself in the ground fighting and punching and pushing and all this stuff because I'm so noble that some woman that attacked the police got pushed on her butt in the snow, and I'm going to run in to rescue her because I'm such a hero, but I've got my gun. And, he created these, each and one of these circumstances. He could be at home watching cartoons and eating cereal out of a bowl. He could be at a movie theater. He could be
responsibilities on his back. I agree 100%. And there's one more item here I'd like to throw in,
Sure.
which is apparently the attorney general and the mayor, that communist mayor of Minneapolis, are actually responsible for this, because the guy that ICE was on that block to get was a guy that a pedophile or something who'd been in jail. And of course, being Democrats, the first thing you want to do with a pedophile is to let him out. He had an ICE detainer. And I thought that local law enforcement doesn't have a choice, that when they get a guy in and they book him, they identify him, first thing they do is go on the computer and say, does this guy have any warrants anywhere? Do we need to send him to Pennsylvania or something? Oh, he's got an ICE detainer. Well, we need to call ICE and they'll come pick him up. If they had come and picked him up, if they had done that, their job in Minneapolis, the ICE would have already come to the jail and got that guy. There would be no ICE on that street that day. So,
right.
So the mayor is almost as responsible as the knucklehead with the pistol.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've taken too much of your time, but I appreciate it.
No, it's good stuff, Christopher, and no, that's good, and God bless you. And look, I care. That's right. A man's life was taken, and it was a terrible set of circumstances. And if he had not done any of a series of things, he could have stayed home. He could have come out and protested peacefully. He's in the middle of the street confronting police. He then finds himself physically engaged with police. And that morning, he decided that he would strap a 6-hour 9mm pistol on his belt and take an extra magazine loaded with ammunition, which are clues, and that's where, I guess the Department of Homeland Security said he might have been there to commit a mass murder of federal agents. Well, he was clearly there to confront federal agents, and he clearly brought a semi-automatic pistol with 2 magazines. And you're carrying concealed. Do you usually take a second magazine with you? Some people do. But what's this guy, a nurse in Minneapolis, arming up, strapping up, taking an extra high-capacity magazine to go confront federal law enforcement in the street? These are all bad ideas, and I know you appreciate that. Right? But crazy, man, crazy. It's these guys are nuts. And also, I should mention, thank you, Christopher. Thank you, and thanks for serving in Afghanistan 3.5 years, diplomatic post wearing body armor. Now, here's the ESPN, the sports people. They posted a moment of silence was held in memory of Alex Pretty ahead of the Warriors Timberwolves game in Minneapolis, and they've got him up on the screen. And a big picture of him hiking in the woods and crouching down in memory of Alex Jeffrey Pretty. Now, he's the hero of the story, but the Timberwolves did not do this when Laken Riley was murdered by an illegal alien from Venezuela who tried to rape the nursing student in Georgia and was apparently unsuccessful in completing that mission. But honestly, Kayla Hamilton, a young woman, and then almost all sexually assaulted and then murdered by illegal aliens, all of them murdered by illegal aliens. Kayla Hamilton, a nice young woman, and Ruby Garcia, a nice young woman. Lizbeth Medina, murdered by, you may remember Rachel Morin in Maryland, the mother of 5 children, raped and murdered by an illegal alien. Laken Riley, sexually assaulted and murdered by an illegal alien. Joycelyn Nungary and Joycelyn Takiza and Melody Waldecker and Molly Tibbetts. And the Democrats didn't pause for any of these young women murdered by illegal aliens. There was no moment of silence at the Timberwolves game. And for any of these young women that were attacked and murdered by illegal aliens. But you get people like Alex Pretty who say, I'm going to go out there and protest. But I'm, it's just outrageous. It's ridiculous. The double standard couldn't be more amazing, and appalling. But that's the Democrat Party for you, because they're insane. Now, with that, and again, thank you, Christopher. But let's go to soundbite number 10, because here is in Minneapolis. An individual calling himself the Antifa General. They claim that they're anti-fascist, but they're not. They are the fascists, and of course, and the Antifa General. And he posted a video of himself, and you'll never guess what he's calling for. He's calling for more violence and for guns and for a war against. Here's the Town Hall has the story. Antifa lunatic openly advocates He's openly advocating for followers to arm up and march on Nazi gunmen. That's what he calls the ICE agents, right? And Kevin Wagner, a self-described member of Antifa, released numerous videos on Saturday advocating for an armed response to the fatal shooting of 37-year-old Alex Pretty. And they just keep calling him a nurse, right? But here is the self-described Antifa general in Minneapolis. And I want you to listen to this guy. Now, you got to, it's better if you can envision him. He's got a big tattoo on his face, multiple tattoos on his face, and from his chin down, his neck is covered with tattoos, and he's riddled with tattoos. And listen to him, my name is Kyle, and I'm with Antifa. And the Democrats are going to run him for Congress, no doubt. Here is Antifa boy, who goes by Kyle, and Kyle Wagner is apparently his name, and he loves gunplay, I guess.
It's time to suit up. Boots on the ground. Show up, ready to go. Okay? Not talking about peaceful protests anymore. We're not talking about having polite conversations anymore. I am talking specifically to my followers. This is everything I have talked about, and this is exactly what I said was going to happen. This is exactly what I said was going to come when we didn't go and march on Whipple with guns. Sorry, but welcome to America 2026, where Second Amendment is the only thing that's going to keep you protected from literal Nazi gunmen that are killing innocent people in the street with impunity. This is not
assaulting
a
police
joke.
With guns
There's
strapped
nothing
to them.
fun to chant about it. Get your guns and stop these people.
So that is Alex. Excuse me. That's Kyle Wagner. And again, he's got a shaved head, tattoos down his cheeks, everything from the chin down in his neck covered with tattoos. He says he's Antifa, and he's calling for armed insurrection and civil war. But then you get to the next video of him, and here he is, much more scantily attired, I must say, wearing a women's pink, what would you call that thing, like a teddy or a nightie or something with an IE on the end, nightie or a teddy. But he's wearing women's underwear, the same guy here, and he's proudly posting these videos. Now he's wearing women's underwear, and it's one of those one-piece nightie things that you get at Victoria's Secret. And you can see all the tattoos covering more of his body. And here he is in his transgender garb.
I do this all year, all the time. I'm out and about like this because I do it for me all year. All the time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's great.
I'm a f***ing blue-collar I'm a dude all day long. And then at least a few times every week, I like to get real clean and pretty and go out and shoot pool or get dinner, maybe go dance. You never know, right? But I don't need a parade to celebrate.
Don't need a beep parade to
I
celebrate.
don't need to be groped and harassed and catcalled and treated like a piece of meat by a bunch of cis women who give me side eyes in public when I do this.
Imagine
the rest of the
that.
year.
Yeah.
Who mumble to themselves and have all kinds of things to say behind my back. All of you.
He's not bitter or anything. He's so this is, I think, a run-of-the-mill Democrat. Democrats will likely run him for Congress sooner or later. And there he is dressed in ladies' underwear after calling for the same guy who's calling for everybody to arm up, and, the beeping Nazis are out there. This is today's Democrat Party. It is membership is a mental illness, and a violent criminal gang known as the Democrat Party is on the loose in the United States. Completely berserko. Only scratching the surface thus far. We are at 888-630-9625. All right, let's go back to the telephones. Talk to the nice American people. Let's go to Robert, calling from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I got more to tell you about the guy that was shot as well coming up. But let's go to Robert in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Robert, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, good morning, Chris. How are you doing today? I hope you
Very
didn't
well.
get snowed in too bad.
Yeah, not too bad. Kind of fun.
born and raised Fairfax, Virginia, at concealed carry, and also moved down here to Myrtle Beach. Been here 5 years. Also got concealed carry. And each and every class, you must announce when engaged in any law enforcement, speeding tickets or any traffic, anything. If you are concealed carry, you must announce to law enforcement that you are armed and carrying.
Well, and he apparently was not carrying an ID of any kind. He didn't have. Now, you're required to carry.
Required.
Also required. You're required to carry your concealed carry permit, right?
Yes.
And I have a couple of concealed carry permits. Mine have my photograph on them. They look like driver's licenses. And you're going to carry concealed. You got to carry that. And you're supposed to be carrying your driver's license, an additional government-issued photo ID, right?
Yes, sir.
And he was not carrying any ID of any kind, but he decided to come out carrying his pistol, his concealed carry, very nice Sig Sauer. But those are all bad clues, right, Robert?
Right. And at this point, all we know from all the facts is that ICE is a pretty good shot.
Well, yeah, we have learned that, haven't we? There have been, 2 incidents. And, unlike a lot of incidents in Washington, D.C. lately, these were very accurate shots fired by law enforcement.